What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk about SoFi. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes with SoFi, and right now it is very much red. I do want to discuss why it's red versus being up 4% with other growth stocks today. Before I get into any of that though, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, let's get right to it. So I am sure that you may or may not be aware it is earnings season, and today there was a lot of banking kind of earnings. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and a lot of them came in at a lot lower than expected, showed a lot of signs of fear. Even their guidance wasn't necessarily as good and optimistic as what they were seeming. And when it comes down to it, I know SoFi is more of an innovative company, fintech, things like that, but on a comparison basis, they are still in the banking sector. So what is happening typically to one bank usually rolls over and is sought out is going to affect everyone else. So this is where SoFi unfortunately was getting dragged down by the market because of earnings. But if you subtract that though, there's a lot of good things happening to SoFi, one of which is a massive amount of institutional purchasing happening behind the scenes, more so in the dark pool. So you can see right here all the continuation of institutions getting into SoFi. So on a daily basis, this seems to be now the norm. A lot of institutions continuously buying SoFi for various different reasons, one of which is the technicals, and technically behind the scenes, the operational basis of SoFi is just starting to ramp up. So a lot of good things are happening. Obviously, the tail end of 2022 is going to be very much epic for SoFi. So this is going to be very beneficial for investors, for institutions getting in now. Like I always say, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But one thing as well that unfortunately because of the earnings didn't really develop as well as they should have is this. So shorts. Technically, a lot of growth stocks were going through a little bit more of a short squeeze today. So you can even see with SoFi's case, negative 1.37%, showing 5.64 million shares being returned today. That, hands down, was a very big abnormality. It hasn't been this big of a change in the last several weeks. And technically as well, the short score is at 73.52. That's starting to rise as well. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. Cost to borrow has been going up a little bit. By no means hundreds of percent, but it is starting to slowly go up. And one thing I just want to draw your attention to is the cost to borrow minimum. Typically, I'm sure you guys are aware, I always cite manipulation because that is often negative after hours, because it does show that there is brokers out there paying people to short SoFi. But as of the last couple of days, it hasn't been the case. So definitely things are starting to turn with SoFi. And like I said, shorts closing out 5.64 million shares. Just want to quickly go back to here. You can see a total of 43.84 million shares were traded today. So 6 million shares being returned, and overall, as far as being attributed to shorts, it does look like a total of 7.29 million shares were returned and 1.65 million shares being additionally shorted. So this is where you get the net 5.64. And so in addition to that, just want to cap it off with some technical analysis, because technically this is where I feel a lot of institutions are getting in, because despite us pulling back a little bit, we are still looking very good on the technicals. And this is the saving grace right now, the central Bollinger Band. So that hands down is what's been saving us over the last little bit. And technically that is at $5.81. Hypothetically, if we do break below that, then obviously we'll be lower percent of the Bollinger Band, potentially testing that $5 mark. That is what a lot of people do not want to know or hear, but it is a very real possibility. And now technically that SoFi management have the ability to do a reverse split. Potentially that might be a little bit more concerning for individuals, but let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. RSI is currently at 47, and for stochastic, you can see there is still that vague deviation, red line above the black, showing a underlying bearish sentiment happening with SoFi. Momentum, you can tell, is pretty stagnant right now. So number of buyers is still for the most part maintaining itself. And just want to give you some macro and micro views on this. So more so on the Fibonacci, 604 still remains that kind of pivot point. We were kind of flirting with it a little bit today, but we hopefully will gain enough momentum to get over that and continue our nice upward trend that's happening. And more so as well, just more so on a micro view, some resistance and support points, $6, $6.09, and $6.21. Like I've been saying, those are very tight knit. With good piece of news, we can easily get over that. And then on the contrary, you can can see first, second, and third support points, 579, 567, and 558. Similarly, those are very tight knit, and today we did actually break below that first support point. So with all that though, let me know your thoughts on SoFi in the comments below. I personally feel this is a great time to buy in because long term, this is going to do a lot of great things. Short term, it's a little bit more volatile, especially with the earnings coming out, but if it does do even a tenth of what it says it's going to do, there's going to be a lot of big things, especially if you do factor in some of the news about SoFi, like a lot of the customers having fairly high FICO scores, so should be a little bit more resilient to possibly a recession. So that's one thing that you just need to factor in as well. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, greatly appreciate that. And with that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.